on the 7 White team. We have really enjoyed getting to know your students so far this year. Please follow along with this presentation for important information about what you can expect this school year. To start, we have 5 basic team expectations that we expect all students to follow on a daily basis. Be prepared for class, be attentive in class, be respectful in all situations, be responsible, and most importantly, be flexible. Now you're going to meet the teachers and see what's in store for your child throughout the 7th grade year. Hey, my name is Lauren Baxter and I teach 7th grade CA and LW on the 7 White team. If I teach your student, you have definitely already received an email from me at the beginning of the year that included our course syllabus and an outline for where we were headed this year. So far in CA, we have been focusing on poetry. We've analyzed poetry, written poetry, and now students are going to perform poetry as well. In LW, your students have been working on reading independent selected novels and working through the parts of plot as well as analyzing the work that the author has completed. Throughout the year, we are going to do a ton of projects and assignments that require group work, critical thinking, responsibility, and a pretty high level of organization. If your child is struggling throughout the year, I suggest that you encourage them to come ask for help as soon as possible, because when we start projects in either of these classes, they are pretty lengthy and span the course of several weeks. So the sooner we fix the problem, the more your child will be likely to find success in what it is we're doing. You may have heard your child talk about something we're doing in CA this year revolving around grammar. We are going to start our unit very soon on learning the different parts of speech and kind of working through grammar concepts in a gamification mode. So all of our lessons will be built around gamification in the classroom, and they will be working together with other students to learn the material, to solve problems, and to gather additional information once we learn the lesson. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Via email is the quickest way to elicit a response. And I am looking forward to a great rest of the year with your children.
Hello and welcome to Communication Arts and Literacy Workshop. I'm so happy to be your child's teacher this year. I wanted to start off by just telling you a little bit about myself. I actually graduated from Cocalico, was born and raised in Denver. I then went to Ohio to Cedarville University, where I majored in middle childhood education. After that, I eventually got my Master's of Education in Reading from Concordia University of Chicago, where it allowed me to be a reading specialist. This is now my 18th year of teaching, and so happy to be back in my hometown. So I'll start first with communication arts. With communication arts, we really focus a lot on writing and presentation skills. So we do argumentative writing, informative writing. With that goes a lot of research that we do at the library and also on our own in the classroom. We also start the year with poetry, which we're finishing up right now. And then we also get heavily into grammar, where we really focus on all the different parts of speech and their function in sentences. If we have time at the near the end of the school year, we get into advertising and media and the influence that has in our lives, as well as finishing up the year with mythology, where we just put together all the skills that we learned throughout the year and do a really intense project that applies higher level learning. For literacy workshop, we focus more on reading and responding to what we're reading. So independent reading is a huge part of this. And then we respond to the independent reading through book responses and book projects. We also get into literature circles where we will read books in small groups and really discuss the books that we're reading. Short stories also is a unit that we start the year out with, which we also are getting close to finishing up, where they learn about plot and characterization and all the different components that make up fiction. We also do a lot of nonfiction, which is not on here, or a whole unit on nonfiction, I should say, where we learn about how nonfiction is structured and how to analyze nonfiction as well. Throughout the year, we'll also talk about reading strategies and how to use those to help us better understand what we're reading. And if we have time, we'll do drama and look at how scripts are put together. We also do delve into vocabulary and gathering words from our books that we're reading and just focus on how to understand words that we don't know. Some classroom expectations that the students help me set up would be responsible, be respectful, be prepared, and be productive and attentive during class. The students have reward cards in my classroom that if they are doing these things, they can cash those reward cards in for prizes, and then there also are consequences for not following through with these items. And if it becomes severe as far as not following classroom expectations, you will be notified. How can I support my child at home? Well, definitely making sure they're reading at home is huge, since LW really focuses on that. They should be reading at home nightly. Making sure that your child does that is huge. And also talking with your child about what they're reading to make sure that they're understanding it. Having your child share their writing documents with you is great because you can see what they're writing and see how they're writing. Also, please do check Schoology with your child on a regular basis or at least a weekly basis so you can see the homework that they are being assigned. Their homework should be posted on the Schoology calendar. And also, please be checking PowerSchool weekly. PowerSchool allows you to see how your child is currently doing in each subject, as well as any missing assignments. If you have any questions about anything that was presented, please reach out to me. I look forward to continuing to communicate with you and work with your child this year so they can have one of their most successful years yet. Thank you so much, and look forward to hearing from you.
Hello, families. My name is Kelly Gracie, and I am your child's 7th grade social studies teacher. This year in social studies, we focus mostly on history, and specifically the history of the United States and how we became a country. Topics your child has already learned about are exploration, specifically the European explorers who will spend time exploring North and South America. We are currently discussing colonialization. We've talked about the early settlements of Roanoke and Jamestown, and we're now into the 13 colonies. For this unit, we will have our first research project of the year. So ask your child about that in the next few days. Okay. Following colonization, we will talk about the American Revolution and the events that led to us becoming the United States. Then we'll get into the creation of our Constitution and some of the early parts of our country's history, working our way up to westward expansion with the Oregon Trail. And if you're like me, you have fond memories of Oregon Trail Day in elementary school. Sprinkled throughout the year, we'll also spend time talking about current events and geography and making sure that we're doing all that we can to create well-rounded, informed students of history. If at any point you need to contact me for anything, please feel free to reach out by email or phone. I'll gladly help with whatever I can. And I look forward to continuing to teach your children this year. Thank you.
My name is Mr. Martin. I am the math teacher on the 7 White team. In this video, we're going to discuss some tips and some useful things on Schoology that will lead to a successful year. This is the main page for the math courses. I do teach 2 different math courses, so Period 1, Period 5, and Period 7 are in 7th grade math. Period 2 and Period 8, their homepage will look slightly different, but will have the same main components. So the intro letter was sent home in the beginning of the school year and was signed, had things about how we deal with homework, how we deal with notes and asking for help, things like that. Also, something that wasn't in the intro letter but that I'd like to talk about is corrections. If your child may earn half the points back on any test or quiz up until the due date if they complete the corrections. So we've just started attaching a blue sheet to anyone that earned a D or an F. That blue sheet is where they will complete their corrections. Anyone that earned an A, B, or C that would also like to complete corrections for half the points back can get a blue sheet from me, and then they can complete their corrections on that. The online lessons folder is very important as well. This folder is where I will be sharing daily lessons if we are 100% remote. That is where the students will find their daily lesson. If your child is absent, have them send me a Schoology message, and I will respond back with either, read example 1 and 2 and do these problems, or I'll direct them to this folder where I might share the daily lesson. If it's easier for me to share it digitally, I'll just put it in here. But this folder is more for if we are 100% remote. The big idea is textbook and the study guides are where you will find the textbook. They can click on that, open it up, and in case they forget their book at school. And the study guides, every study guide for every test or quiz that we will be taking this year is already in this folder. The study guides have the problems listed. So this is the next quiz that's coming up. So they can practice those problems, and then they can check their answers below. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email or call me. I'll be glad to help. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kim Sassman. I'll be your child's science teacher this year. Behind me is my friend Indiana Bones, who helps me explain some body systems when we get to that unit. Science is very hands-on this year and discovery-based. Therefore, students may not always get a good initial grade on a lab, but labs are correctable for 100%, and I encourage students to do that and encourage you to encourage your child to do that. Most students this year have been really good about making corrections. Tests are also able to be corrected, but they're for half credit instead of full credit, so that they have to study hard the first time. All of my classroom rules, policies, grading policies, etc. are located in the important documents folder inside the Science Schoology page. I only enter grades on Fridays. Otherwise, I would spend all of my time entering grades for students who'd have late work or absent, etc. So you can probably look to see those grades by 5 o'clock, typically on a Friday. Feel free to email me at any time during the school year, and I look forward to a fantastic school year with your child.
Mrs. Sola is also the counselor on our team, so if you have any questions regarding additional information, you can follow up with Ms. Sola as well. Some of your students may have Mr. Johnson. If they do, you definitely want to key into this slide.
Johnson from Cocalico Middle School. I'm a member of the 7 White team. I teach ELA and math. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please contact me at djohnson@cocalico.org. Again, that is djohnson@cocalico.org. Or you can call the middle school, 717-336-1471. For ELA, as you can see on your screen, and you can pause so that you can read through what is showing on the screen. For ELA, we use a program called Language Live. It is a research-based reading and writing program using a rotational model approach that includes direct teaching from me and an online independent work for your child. If you have any specific questions, please contact me and we can discuss them. In addition, for math, we use a research-based program using a rotational model approach called Math 180. Your child receives direct instruction from me, and independent work from them online. Also, I'd like to mention it is extremely important for your child to memorize their multiplication facts. They can do that using extra math, which we use periodically in class, or they can use any method that you deem necessary for them to memorize their multiplication facts. Again, if you have any specific questions, please contact me at djohnson@cocalico.org. Thank you.
Just as a reminder for all parents, you can create a Schoology account for yourself that will allow you to see your students' upcoming work and their assignments. Logging into PowerSchool is a crucial and necessary task for you to do so that you can see your child's grades and or missing assignments. And as always, please reach out with questions that you may have to your students' teachers. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and if you have any other additional questions, please feel free to email any team member.